on YouTube? It's Sabby Sabs, and I'm back with another video. We are focusing on the southern neighborhoods in Boston. So I'm continuing my Boston neighborhood adventure. If you didn't get a chance to see part 1 of this adventure, please go back and check Boston Neighborhoods Part 1, where we focus on the northern neighborhoods in Boston. Go ahead and watch that one first. But this is part 2. Before we get started, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe below, and go ahead and hit that notification bell while you have a chance. Here is part 2, the southern neighborhoods in Boston. First up is Dorchester, also known as Dottie, home of UMass Boston and the iconic triple decker. Dorchester residents include families, some professionals, UMass Boston students, and yeah, that's pretty much it for the residents. The average one bedroom here is $1,700. Cool spots to check out here in Dorchester include the JFK Library, Boston Winery, and the Franklin Park Zoo. Interesting fact, you know, Dorchester gets a bad reputation for having a lot of crime, but studies show that crime in Dorchester is less likely to be stranger crime and more likely to be crime related to drugs or gang violence. So typically, as a stranger or a bystander in Dorchester, you're less likely to be targeted for crime. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen, but you're less likely to be a target. Notable residents in Dorchester include Mark Wahlberg and Donnie Wahlberg. Next up is Jamaica Plain, also known as JP. JP is home to the iconic Center Street in Boston, which is known for having some pretty cool restaurants and also JP Licks. Residents here include families, professionals, students from Northeastern University as well. The average one bedroom is $1,950. Cool spots here include the Arnold Arboretum and the Sam Adams Brewery. Now, interesting fact, gentrification has found its way to Jamaica Plain, actually started a couple of years ago. And some of the local businesses have chosen to cash in on that. For example, the iconic restaurant called Doyle's Cafe. Doyle's actually closed last year, selling their property to investors. This was such an iconic place that John F. Kennedy went to Doyle's Cafe, and some movie scenes were filmed at Doyle's Cafe. For example, the movie 21. Notable people from JP include Joey McIntyre and Sylvia Plath. JP is one of the most diverse neighborhoods in Boston, and it is also known for being a very welcoming community for people who are LGBTQ. Coming in next is Roxbury, home of New Edition. Roxbury residents include families, professionals, and some students from Northeastern University and Wentworth University. Interesting thing about Roxbury, they are also experiencing some gentrification. So more professionals are actually choosing to buy in Roxbury because it is cheaper to do so. Like Dorchester, Roxbury also gets a bad rep for having a lot of crime. But also like Dorchester, stranger crime in Roxbury is somewhat rare. So again, you're more likely to be a target of crime in Roxbury if you're related to drugs or gang violence. Notable people from Roxbury include Donna Summer, New Edition, and Patrice O'Neal. Cool spot to check out in Roxbury is Malcolm X's house. Oh, I should have mentioned him as notable people too. Duh. A lot of people don't know that Malcolm X actually was born here in Boston in Roxbury. If you are ever visiting Boston, please do so if you get a chance to check out Malcolm X's house. It's still there where it was before. Roxbury is also known for having the best talent shows, which is actually how New Edition got discovered. Back in the day, talent shows were really big there, and it really helped propel music talents of people in the neighborhood. Now, Roxbury is also known as an African American neighborhood, but again, due to gentrification, that has also changed as well as more people have moved in. So Roxbury now is not just an African American neighborhood. You can go there and you'll see people who are white, Latino, Asian. So Roxbury also has been changing a lot over the past couple years. And we can't forget about Hyde Park. Hyde Park is known as the small town in the city. Although Hyde Park is a part of Boston, if you go to Hyde Park, you will actually feel like you've entered another town. It's somewhat more suburban looking than urban looking. Average one bedroom in Hyde Park is $1,625. Cool spots include Everett Square Theater, Tutto Italiano, and Ron's Ice Cream. An interesting fact about Hyde Park: it was actually home to the first African American Army unit. This Army unit can be depicted in the movie Glory. Notable people include Mayor Thomas Menino, Maura Tierney, and Rebecca Crumpler. Hyde Park is also known as one of the most diverse neighborhoods in Boston. If you're looking for something like an old school trolley, come on down to Mattapan. Mattapan is known for having the historic Mattapan trolley. Residents here include families and some professionals. The average one bedroom is $1,570. Cool spots here are the Boston Nature Center and Mattapan House of Pizza. An important thing about Mattapan is that a long time ago it was once a Jewish neighborhood. Once the 80s came around, it became more of a destination for Haitian, African, and Caribbean people as well. So now if you go to Mattapan, you'll see the neighborhood has changed. It's more of a African American neighborhood, so it's no longer a Jewish neighborhood. Notable people from Mattapan include Dana Barros, Big Shug, and Leonard Bernstein. Next up is Roslindale. Roslindale is also known as Rosie. Residents here include families and professionals. The average one bedroom is $1,600, and cool spots here include Distraction Brewing and Romero's Pizzeria and Taqueria. Interesting thing about Rosie. Rosie was once a part of Roxbury. It's also known as Boston's most forgotten neighborhood. I don't know why, but for some reason, people don't seem to know it exists, or people forget about it. But it's also known as having the most neighborhood feel in Boston. Notable people here include Steve Diossi, Slane, and Claude Lockwood. Last but definitely not least is West Roxbury. West Roxbury, not to be confused with Roxbury, is also a more of a suburban feel neighborhood. When you go to West Roxbury, similar to Hyde Park, you will feel like you left the city. It does not feel like you are still in Boston. The average one bedroom there is $2,207, and residents there include families and some professionals. Cool spots to check out are the Brook Farm Historic Site and Rock's Diner. An interesting fact about West Roxbury: it was once home to experimental transcendentalists, and one of them was Nathaniel Hawthorne. Notables in West Roxbury include Chris Nolan, Richard Cronin, and Anthony Michael Hall. West Roxbury is more of a sleepy neighborhood. Not kidding. That's kind of what people say here. It's kind of the place where you go to live if like you still want to be a part of Boston, but you want some peace and you want some quiet and you want to be able to afford a house. That would be West Roxbury. All right, guys, that's it. That is all I have for you. I hope you enjoyed this two-part journey where I took you on a tour of Boston neighborhoods. Hopefully by now, if you are interested in moving to Boston, you have an idea about the affordability factor, you have an idea about the demographics, and you have an idea about what you can do in certain neighborhoods in Boston. There are a lot of neighborhoods in Boston, as you probably just saw from part 1 and from part 2. And some people move here and decide not to live in Boston at all. Some people decide to move to Boston's sister and cousin, Brookline, Cambridge, and Somerville, which in its own sense have their own neighborhoods and their own feel. We refer to it as being across the river. So that's it. If you have any questions about moving to Boston or any questions about what it is like to live here, please don't hesitate to comment below. All right, guys, see you later on next time with more videos. Bye.